Do you know who you are without the approval or validation of other people? Are you aware of how your actions affect other people? Are you aware how other people's actions affect you, right? What triggers you? What sets you off? What makes you upset and angry? Why does it do that? Why do you feel that way, right? I have always been a tinkerer. I've liked to pull things apart, see how they work, and put them back together, right? I love psychoanalyzing myself and other people, which I know it leads to a lot of other issues, but like, I'm just fascinated with the way in which humans compartmentalize their trauma, right? You know, for myself, I had a very controlling parent, and my ex it was both of us, really. Like, we had a lot of issues where from our past that we brought into our relationship. I was needy and obsessive. He was intense and angry. And I'm like skipping over a lot of details, right? But like, talking about like exactly what happened has never made me feel better, right? Like, it was some really awful, awful stuff, like, it was to the point where I wanted to leave this world. But like, the point is not what happened to me, it's what I did since then with it. Does that make sense? Like, sometimes I feel like talking about it in such a detailed manner just invokes pity. I don't need your pity. But I do want you to understand where I'm coming from when I say all of this stuff, right? Sorry, there's a hawk. It's huge. Is that a hawk? I think so. I think it's a hawk. It's huge. Subconsciously, with those experiences, I had compartmentalized a lot of insecurities that I took out on my friends and family, right? I sought the validation of other people, and I fractured myself into 1,000 personalities in order to fit their mold. And sometimes they still didn't even like me, even after I did that. And I was always trying to be somebody that I wasn't because, like, I hated myself. I didn't even like myself. So if I didn't like who I was, how was I going to expect them to, right? So I changed myself. I reinvented myself. I was always trying to be a different person than who I was because I could not accept the fact, to make sure it's still recording, it's so bright out here. I could not accept the fact that people love me exactly the way that I am. Do you even understand, like, how much of a revelation that was to me when I first came across it? Like, just the fact that my friends and family want to be around me because they want to be around me. Not some fake version of myself, not because I convinced them to, but because they just want to be. It was radical. I was like, probably, yeah. It was only a couple months ago I came across that. I was like I think a couple months into being 21. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. And like, I was just afraid of myself for so long because I never allowed myself to be myself. And there's a part of me that feels like I've robbed myself of community because I had never been able to hold on to friends long enough to build something with them, you know? And I'm always convincing myself, you know, girl boss, you're doing too much. You're saying, because my energy, I won't lie, can sometimes be really intense. Like, I can go from 0 to 100 like that. Like, that's really off-putting to people. And like, I don't always think through my actions before I do them. I'm a very go kind of person. Like, what's the word? Like, I don't think about things really as they're happening, but I will think about them for months, years after they happen. Like, I am a yearner. I do yearn, but what's the word? Sometimes I just sit and rot, right? Like, I will just sit and rot and think about what I've done or what I've said. I'm like, was I too much? Am I being too much? And there's just a part of me that's just kind of gone to this stage of, girl boss, if they were truly your friend and they cared about you and you were being too much, they would tell you and it wouldn't be an issue, right? Still making sure it's recording. So, you know, like, if they are too scared to talk to me about me being too much or about the way that I'm acting, then are they really my friend? Probably not. Because for me, like, when I say I need friends to hold me accountable, what I mean by that is I need honest friends. I want friends who are willing to say, girl boss, you're being an asshole. Girl boss, why are you saying that? Girl boss, you know, like, who are able to, like, comfortably say those things and it not be an issue, right? But like, I find myself like trying to like preemptively, like, so they never even have to think it, right? But like, that's not my responsibility. That's not my responsibility to deal with other people's feelings like that. Like, preemptively, I mean. Like, after they happen, yeah, absolutely. If they tell me like, hey, you're causing an issue, well, now it's my issue and I have to go solve it, right? That's different. But it's just sort of getting myself out of this space of being an anxious ball because for whatever reason, you know. And oh, sorry. I am so afraid of bees. I've been stung like from the ages of like 0 to 15. I was stung like 10 times. Like I don't know. I hate bees so much. They terrify me. Like, it's just a carpenter bee. It doesn't matter. The buzz still triggers me. What are your triggers? What triggers you? What makes you go off like that? Right? So yeah, back to what I was saying earlier, right? So like sometimes like I have to remind myself, you know, like I remember one time, I had made friends with this girl from my bio class. I'm still friends with her to this day. She is phenomenal. I love her. But we basically spent that summer and fall semester together doing bio 1 and bio 2, right? But we were different majors. I did geology, she did biochemistry. So that spring semester that followed, we didn't really hang out with each other that much, right? We were busy. She did biochemistry. I was doing geology. We were literally in 2 different buildings on 2 separate sides of campus, basically all of the time. Our schedules never really aligned, right? Did I take that into consideration at the time? No. I sent her this evil text where I was like, what the crap is going on? Do you hate me? I didn't say it like that, but I did say, like, what the crap is going on? And she was rightfully like, girl boss, what? There's nothing going on. And she's like, I'm literally just busy. And yeah, like, I was letting my anxieties, wow. It was one of those birds that fights off hawks whenever they get too close to their nest. It was impressive. It did have something in its mouth though, so maybe it did get something. Anyways, my point being that, yeah, it's not her responsibility to deal with my crap. And we ended up working things out and it was fine. But like, the point being is that, like, because I was insecure about the state of our friendship, right? I took it out on her. And that's not her responsibility to deal with. And unless you're willing to face those really ugly parts of yourself, you can't really be a good person. And really truly, like, being humble in the sense of, like, yeah, I was wrong. That was not a great thing for me to do. And like, people, like, when I say people, like, it is a humbling experience to admit when you're wrong, but like, I feel like a lot of people, like, I feel like sometimes it can be really off-putting to people whenever I am open about the ways in which I was wrong. Like, you were really willing to admit that? Yeah, because I was wrong. Like, it's not, like, I don't think it should be, what's the word, stigmatized to admit those things, right? Like, you are not any less of a man or any less of a woman or whatever. You're not strong for not admitting when you're wrong, right? Like, if you've hurt someone's feelings and you have, what's the word? I was just gonna say hurt someone's feelings, right? Like, take accountability for that. Like, I just don't get it. It's an ugly truth, but like I said, like, I want honest friends. I want people who are willing to hold me accountable and vice versa, right? And for me, I value people who are upfront with how they feel. There's no, which could go into, like, I do think I'm neurodivergent of some kind, and I spent a long time growing up, like, just wondering, like, just trying to deconstruct people, like, reading, like, body language and, like, word choice, and, like, sometimes it's just not that deep. Sometimes people just say things. Sometimes people just do things. And, like, my point being is that it's just, do you understand why you act the way in which you act? Do you understand how you affect other people and how they affect you, right? And do you know who you are and what you want out of life? And I feel like that's a hard question to answer, right? Who, like, when someone asks you, well, who are you? Well, then girl boss, obviously. Okay, but what does that mean? I think it's hard to assign traits to yourself. Because I think that, like, there's a different version of me in all of the heads of everybody that I know, right? They see a different version of me than everybody else. But all of those different versions of me kind of coalesce into my being, right? If they define me as smart, then I guess, when I say I guess I'm smart, right? But, like, I just am. And that's a weird concept. Like, like, I would hope that people would describe me as kind. I would hope that people would describe me as smart. I would hope that people would describe me as all these different things. But I can't stop them if they, like, I really think that he's really dumb. I think that he's the meanest person I've ever met. So what, right? There are goals that I strive for who I want to be. But whether or not that always comes across is really, frankly, not always my problem, until, it becomes a problem. And like, my point being is that, like, I can strive to be kind, but if I say or do an unkind thing, I should be willing to correct that and be open to correct them. Well, I shouldn't have to apologize. I'm the kindest person that I know. Well, that's not very humbling. Are you really kind then? You know what I mean? Like, and it's just also becoming okay with the fact that, like, even though I know who I am now and I'm not having to make a palatable version of myself for other people, people are still not going to like me. They're still going to think I'm too much, or that I'm not enough, even, like, I've been single for something like, I don't know. Oh gosh, I got bit by a midge. Sucks. Been single for something crazy, like, I should say crazy, like 4 years. Out of personal choice. Like, I was dealing with a lot of inner demons, and I think it was for the best that I wasn't dating anybody anyways. But, like, my point being is that, like, I've had, like, a lot of anxieties. Like, is it me? Like, is it me? No. Like, there are plenty of people in my life who love and cherish me that are not a romantic partner, right? What makes that love any different than a romantic? Oh, well, it doesn't make me feel special, There's no one to cuddle with. Like, those things are nice, but I mean, like, because, like, for a long time, like, I wanted a boyfriend to answer those insecurities in myself. To say, girl boss, you're not as awful as you think you are. Well, guess what? I just said that for myself just now, 5 seconds ago. I don't need someone to say that to me. I don't need someone to be able to do that for me. I am my own person, and, like, are you able to take care of yourself, Without someone else to tell you what to do, are you able to take care of yourself and still live life? Because truly, in the end, all you're ever really going to have is yourself. So do you like yourself enough? Do you understand yourself enough to live with yourself? If you were to look internally and see everything about yourself, both the good and the bad, would you like what you see?